Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bundesliga show. We are back in action very quickly because we've got an English week in the Bundesliga midweek fixtures. We're doing a watch along this evening for the midweek games. So myself and Mark are going to be watching two different games each, and we're going to be keeping track of the third one that's going on. And we're doing a Q&A. We've got a load of questions that have already been asked, and we'll be taking live questions throughout the show as well. So please do get yourself settled in for the evening and enjoy what should be a really entertaining Bundesliga midweek for match day 14. Mark, what game are you looking forward to most from this match week? You'll be covering Bayern versus Werder tonight. So what are your expectations for that?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. It seems weird that this time last week I was in the Allianz as well. But yeah, obviously a different competition this week. But yeah, I really do believe that Werder can give them a problem. I'm not sure they can realistically take points, but I think they will score a goal or even two, possibly. I don't think it's impossible that can happen. I think, I do like the look of this Werder Bremen side. They've won the last two games, and even when they lose, they still impress. They're one of those teams. I think to me they're having a similar season to what your beloved Stuttgart had 2 years ago. That's how I would describe this season from Werder Bremen. Like, they're playing good football. They've got some real standout players. The likes of Mitchell Weiser and Nico Füllkrug are the ones that really stand out, aren't they? But also the likes of Schmid. Dux as well has been good. Pavlenka has been on form. Amos Pieper. There's been so many players. Even Nico Stark recently has come into the team and done well. So I do believe there's enough confidence and quality in this Werder side to at least push Bayern. Whether they can realistically get something, I don't know, because we know that Bayern Munich are just a goal machine, let's be honest, and they tend to score minimum 3 goals a game in the Bundesliga. But, I do hope that Werder can get something out of the game. But I'm just looking now, actually. They're just doing the team lineups, and I'm just looking. Yeah, incredibly, some pretty bad news, actually. There's going to be no Füllkrug tonight, actually, for Werder Bremen, which really disappoints me. It's going to be actually Burke who replaces him. So that's terrible for my fantasy football team, and also for the game, in my opinion, because Füllkrug's just absolutely massive to this Werder team. I don't know whether it's an injury. Do you know anything there, Rory? Have you seen anything today? Maybe he's picked up a knock or what?
No, I hadn't. And, having just kind of got through my working day and much like yourself, Mark, and just straight into Bundesliga action, haven't actually had a chance to properly look. Mainly been looking at the lineups of Stuttgart versus Hertha. But yeah, that's very bad news for Werder in terms of the contest tonight. Who knows? Ollie Burke's already performed a couple of miracles so far. A couple of late goals, although kind of cameo appearances, but starting, doing it from the off against Bayern Munich in the Allianz, slightly different question. So yeah,
big opportunity for him, though, isn't it? He's not started many. At least he's not started many games since maybe the opening 2 or 3 matches. Because obviously that front two have just worked so well together, haven't they? But it's a big blow that for Werder, and just as I was talking them up, I'm now a little bit dubious of whether they can. I just think a guy like Füllkrug is an absolute machine. The guy is like second top scorer in the Bundesliga with 10 goals already. I just think the guy is just been one of the best players in the league this season, and you need that kind of guy when you're going away to the Allianz. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just to let everyone know how we're going to structure things, obviously myself and Mark will be watching each of our games respectively. So Mark's watching Bayern versus Werder. I'm watching the crunch match between Stuttgart and Hertha. And we've also got Bochum hosting Gladbach, which will also be, an important game for both sides. Gladbach getting themselves back on winning track against my boy Stuttgart the other week, and Bochum obviously desperately need points as well. So we'll be reacting to the chances and the opportunities in both games as we're watching differently. And obviously we'll be doing the Q&A. So we're going through each of those questions that are coming prior to, and we'll go through the questions that come in live. So yeah, make sure you get involved, ask your questions live. We'll get to them as soon as we can do, and make sure you like the show. Something different that we're trying tonight. Me and Mark not watching the same game, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. Commenting along, as I've already said. And yeah, please do make sure that you subscribe to the channel as well. It's greatly appreciated. So yeah, the games are just starting to kick off now. So Bayern has just begun, as you can see on screen, and Stuttgart, Hertha, Bochum, Gladbach will be underway shortly. So I think we might as well just get stuck into some of the pre-asked questions, Mark, that have come in. So I'll kind of run through them as I've got them ready in front of me, and then we'll fire them at each other basically and see what answers we get. And you can just shout up whenever a chance comes in the Bayern game, and I'll do similarly with Stuttgart as the players are just coming out onto the pitch. So question number one of the evening, I'm sure there'll be many of these. So what shall I pick out? Doobie doos. Interesting question this from 50 plus Donna from Twitter. Is that what team do you think has the biggest bounce back potential for the second half of the season? I'll throw that your way, Mark, to start with then.
Oh yeah, well I guess bounce back potential. Yeah, it's got to be a team that is struggling, hasn't it? So obviously a team. I would have said before tonight, I would have said Wolfsburg, but I mean I'm not sure that really you can classify their start of having been that bad now, because obviously they are obviously up into the top half, into 8th as we speak. So I'm going to have to pick a team probably in the bottom half. I would say, I mean, the obvious answer is Leverkusen. You know, that's the obvious answer because they are like the biggest name in the bottom half, and they did get that good win over Union. But I'm actually, I'm tempted to say Stuttgart or Hertha Berlin, actually, in a way, because I just think both of those sides have played better, in my opinion, than the points tally suggests. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Rory, but I think obviously both teams are playing tonight, so you're going to see how good they really are when they come head to head. But I believe that both of those sides have an opportunity to push up at least a few positions. But I mean, the obvious answer has got to be Leverkusen. I would expect them to finish probably around about 8th or 9th by the end of the season, to be honest, by the time Xabi Alonso gets time to like implement his style and stuff. But I do believe that one of Stuttgart and Hertha will push well clear of the drop zone. But who it will be, maybe tonight's game will tell us.
Yeah, interesting. I think you've picked out a couple of the ones that I had. Certainly Leverkusen, potential for them to climb the table in terms of position is really obvious, isn't it? I think, you know, Alonso will do what he can in the next 2 games. Whether he gets much from it is another question. Obviously, the big work is for them during the World Cup break, you know, during the winter break, and then, you know, for the rest of the season, the Rückrunde, the extended Rückrunde, is going to be the test of how good this Leverkusen side is going to be. They're still obviously in Europe as well. I'm sure we'll talk about European draws a little bit later on during the show. So, yeah, Leverkusen are obvious one. I know you've picked out Stuttgart and Hertha. They weren't on my list, but they're not bad shouts. I've gone for RB Leipzig. I think they're a team that are now starting to show their quality. It's abundantly obvious that there's so much talent in that squad. I think Marco Rosa is starting to get his feet under the table a bit more. They're playing better. They're not very far off the top 4, even though they've been pretty inconsistent in the league. And last season they had a great Rückrunde underneath Domenico Tedesco's management. So that's something that kind of I'm looking at as a potential for them to do well. If they get on a run like they did last season, they could even get themselves into a top 2, depending on if Union and Freiburg can keep up their good work. Dortmund obviously will come to that result in a minute, Mark. Amazing result for Wolfsburg, which you called, to be fair. So, yeah, I think Leverkusen and RB Leipzig, maybe even a shout to Wolfsburg based on what we've just seen in the last 6-7 games, actually. So, absolutely some interesting shouts there. Just watching, Stuttgart made a front-footed start at home in the Mercedes-Benz Arena, knocking the ball around with a good amount of confidence, although they've just given the ball away very cheaply. And Hertha can break, although apparently they've made a foul in the build-up. So both teams just settling in. What about over in over in Munich, Mark, we might have some action coming up.
Yeah, I think I could be a minute behind, but according to our screen, there's been a goal, but not on my screen yet. But I can talk you through it because I guess it's going to be coming up any second. Bayern are just playing it around the back at the moment. I mean, to be honest, nothing's happened really in the game so far, but it's actually a mistake by Young, I think it is, and it's Musiala running away, and he plays it into Mane, who curls in, but it's blocked. But back to Musiala, who does what he always does, and he finishes the ball for 1-0 to Bayern Munich. Yeah. It's just Musiala is just an absolute machine, isn't he? Like, I don't know. Like Musiala these days, he's just that dream midfielder, isn't he, really? Because he is more of a midfielder because he plays too deep to be classified as a forward, but he just fantastic goal. Not really a good goal. Werder could have defended a bit better. There were a couple of mistakes, and it was Young who made the error. He might come back and check that for a possible foul, but I wouldn't imagine anything will be given. It looks like 1-0 to Bayern Munich. What about over in Stuttgart, Rory?
Yeah, goal in Stuttgart, goal for the home team. Checking offside, Guirassy played in behind, takes a touch out of his feet, smashes his top right corner, top right bins. And the Berliners find themselves 1-0 down. It was the through ball by Thiago Tomas. Pretty sure he's onside. They might still be checking it. I'm doing my best to just watch it on my screen. Yeah, they've already restarted play. 1-0 Stuttgart. Huge goal. Fourth goal this season for Guirassy. Settled into the team really, really nicely. Pressure straight onto Hertha. How can they respond, Mark? That's huge, isn't it, for the home team, VfB Stuttgart? That, in terms of results, obviously, big games come before the break anyway. But to get ahead early, especially with what's been going on recently, they've been 1-0 down in most games early doors. That's huge for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. As we mentioned, they start slowly in most games, but today, obviously, it's been the other side. We do see a lot of early goals in Bundesliga games, don't we? But I did fancy Stuttgart to win the game today because at home recently, they've been really good. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've won the last 2 home games back to back. So this could potentially be 3 on the bounce. I just think Hertha are a funny side, aren't they? I mean, they just seem to be one of those clubs, Hertha Berlin, that just nothing ever seems to go right for them, does it? It's like, I don't know. It's as I've said many times this season in the analysis, I don't think they played that bad this season, but giving a goal away that early in a big game is just not what you need to be doing, is it? And now they need to score twice to win this game, and it's a game they will have pinpointed as a winnable match, and it's just I think a lot of football is like doing the right things at the right time as well, and they just don't do that. And I think obviously Sandro Schwarz has started well in terms of performance, but if they lose today, it's looking pretty grim in truth. They're going to be a little bit marooned in that bottom 3, aren't they? And it's going to be looking like yet another season of struggle for them. I think every season we've covered the Bundesliga show, this is our 3rd season. Every year it's been the same story, hasn't it, for Hertha? Like struggling badly and just about saved themselves in the last few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 early goals in both the games we're watching, Mark. We should do this more often, shouldn't we? Brilliant stuff. Already some goals going in both for the home sides that we're watching. Nothing at the moment in Bochum. Gladbach will keep on checking into that and make sure we know what's going on, though. If there's nothing else going off at the moment, we'll come to another question in a second. So let's just have a look as to what we've got next. Just whilst I'm picking that out, Mark, you run us through some commentary. What's going on in your game?
Yeah, so Werder just got the ball at the back. Yeah. Oh, it looks as though a lot of messing around at the back there from Bayern Munich. They've not looked that. They do seem to be getting in and around them a little bit, Werder, so far. They won a throw in very, very deep into the Bayern half. Mitchell Weiser is just a machine, isn't he? I think him along with Füllkrug have just had unbelievable. They're literally team of the season candidates for me, both of them. And it's more great play. Oh, it's in the back of the net for Werder Bremen. Werder have scored. It looks like Anthony Young, the man who made a shocking mistake for the goal. And it's more classic Werder Bremen. It's a classic Werder goal of this season. But instead of Fulkrug putting it into the back of the net, it's Anthony Young this time, making up for his error early in the match. I mean, it's great play. Mitchell Weiser, again, is key. He plays it out wide to Young, who just side foots it really, really nicely from just outside the area. I think he side foots it comfortably past the goalkeeper, Neuer. It's a real brilliant footballist from Werder, actually. It's a much better goal than it initially looked. It was well inside the area, the finish, but some of the football, I think it's Weiser again. Geez, what a player he is. Leverkusen must be thinking, what are they doing to let him go? It's another brilliant assist from him. I think that's 6 or 7 assists he's on this season from right back. What a goal that is. That's just Werder Bremen for you all the way this season, and fantastic equaliser. I did say at the start of the game I fancied them to score a goal or two tonight, and that was a beautiful goal, really. There were 3 or 4 players, great intricate passing, and Anthony Young makes it 1-1.
And it's 1-0 in Bochum.
Wow.
1-0 to the home side. Some early goals going in at the moment. So let's have a quick look and see who the goal scorer is in Bochum for the home side. Really surprising.
Antwi
Antwi Deji. There we go. I think there was a bit of a VAR check for that. I think he might have had a goal chalked off for offside just before that, or maybe it's the same thing. Very early on, that is great work for Bochum. Quite disturbing news from a VfB Stuttgart point of view. If we look at the live standings right now, this very second, we have Bochum moving up. Oh, sorry, not moving up, staying in 17th, but going up to 10 points. Hertha at the moment in 16th, and VfB Stuttgart at the moment are moving into the heights of 13th. Oh my God, that would be fantastic if that stayed the same. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of twists and turns as the night goes on. Werder, with their point at the moment, would stay in 7th place. Amazing work that. And Bayern would still stay top, but would be at risk from losing that top spot to Freiburg tomorrow. So lots of exciting things going on early doors on our kind of special watch long this evening. So I hope everyone's enjoying it so far. We produced 4 goals for you inside of 12, 13 minutes, roughly speaking. We will get to a couple of questions in a moment's time. If we've missed any in the live chat, please do give us a shout and we'll make sure we come to them.
Bochum are 2 up, by the way. Big news, Bochum are 2 up. It's Philip Hoffman that's just banged it in. Yeah, Philip Hoffman. It's 2-0 to Bochum. Incredible.
It is, wow.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. I actually said it. That doesn't surprise me massively because if you look at their home form, they've won 2 out of the last. No, they've taken 7 points from the last 3 home games before tonight. We could be looking at 10 points potentially from the last 4 home games here, and Gladbach do blow hot and cold, don't they? Like when they're bad, they're very bad, Gladbach, as we saw when Werder smashed them 5-1 a few weeks ago. But what a result this is so far from Bochum. They're a different team at home and away, aren't they, Rory? Like away from home, they get schooled every week, really, but at home, they're still a force to be reckoned with.
Much like Stuttgart's away form, to be frankly honest. We thought the days of Gladbach being really bad, with their off color form, hit and miss, were kind of gone under Farke. But ever since we did the show on Gladbach, it's been quite negative actually. So maybe we've unfortunately put the hoodoo on them a little bit, just as a Stuttgart corner came in to no avail, and it's actually a good tackle by Milot down the left-hand side to stop a Hertha counter-attack. So Hertha and Stuttgart just getting into a bit more of a rhythm of the game now. But obviously with that early goal for Stuttgart, the home side can relax to a certain extent and play that good possession football, knock it around well and try and find those chances maybe on the break themselves, just as Hertha come down the right-hand side, and there's a foul made there by Stuttgart, so a chance for Hertha to refresh and maybe get a ball into the box. But just for now, whilst we've got a second of silence, we'll come to a question. So one of the pre-asked questions, one from Dave Pearson, our very own Dave Pearson from over the bar, has asked, where has it all gone wrong for Augsburg following a promising start to the campaign? Over to you, Mark. It's been quite a tough month for Augsburg, but that shouldn't douse down what's been some really good work by the Bavarian side so far this season.
Yeah, I think they still deserve a lot of credit, in my opinion. I think, they're still a good team. They've just been unlucky. It's a strong Bundesliga this year. That's the problem, I think, if you look at the last 2 home games, they were 3 up against Leipzig, and they ended up drawing 3-0, which you've got to be winning that game at the end of the day, haven't you? Then, obviously, the last home game, they were 1 up inside a minute at home against Frankfurt, and they ended up losing that game. But again, the very tough Champions League level opposition, and I think when they played Stuttgart, they were disappointing for me. That game, they took the lead very early on. Just checking a VAR here for Bayern Munich. It's a penalty for Bayern Munich.
Standards.
They've got a penalty. They went to VAR. It looked like a foul on Gnabry. Initially, the referee waved it away, but now he's gone to the penalty. It's a foul by Amos Pieper, who I actually talked up before the game.
He talks him up too much.
Yeah, it's one of them. It is a penalty, clearly. He doesn't really need to make the foul. It's so frustrating when they do those kind of... Defenders sometimes get drawn into tackles that they don't need to make. Do you know what I mean? And this is another example of that. It's going to be my man, Choupo-Moting. I saw him score at the Allianz last week.
Yeah,
and he's going to be... I can't remember the last game he didn't score in, to be honest, Choupo-Moting. And this is a chance for him yet again to score for maybe the 6th or 7th game in a row in all competitions. The guy's just turned into an absolute machine, and he's going to be confident today taking this. It proves how much confidence they have in him, the fact they're letting him take penalties now as well, ahead of Sadio Mane. Not sure that Mane will be too happy about that, but I can't remember him taking a penalty before, so let's see what he does. Not very much run-up here from Choupo-Moting. Oh, and he saved it. Oh, unbelievable. Pavlenka saved it. It's an absolutely dreadful penalty. He pretty much passes it back. I think maybe he felt sorry for Werder, but now the ref's checking for if he's come off the line. Oh, no way. He's not going to let him retake it, is it? Please. No, he's saying play on. It's to throw in now to Bayern. They've got away with it, but geez, what a start to this game. Choupo-Moting, he takes no run-up whatsoever, and he just slaps the ball straight at Pavlenka. Incredible. Yeah, but what a game. Yeah, what a match this has been. I said there'd be goals in this, but I didn't think it'd be this entertaining.
Yeah, what a start to that game. And, there's still hope for those teams at the top of the table that Bayern are not just yet winning, but what an entertaining start indeed. Not much has happened since the Stuttgart goal in my game. Hertha are starting to get more of the ball, though. Starting to knock it around a little bit more. And naturally, the home side will just look for those opportunities, I think, on the break, with Guirassy linking things up nicely. But yeah, Bochum 2-0 up as well against Gladbach. Amazing stuff. Just going back to the Augsburg thing then, Mark, what do we think about their recent habit of kind of throwing away a few leads? Is that anything for them to worry about? Is it a concentration thing, or can you foresee the rest of their season being a lot more stable? They have done some good work so far, but do you see them being involved in the relegation battle at all?
It's hard to say because they usually are, let's be honest. I think every year for the last 5 or 6 years they've been down there. But I do see more potential in the team this year. To be honest, the last 2 seasons we've covered this, done this show, Augsburg have probably been the least team I've enjoyed watching in the season, to be honest. But this season it's not been the case. And I've really enjoyed a lot of the games. They play with a high intensity, a lot of passion, a lot of energy. But I mean, they need to stop throwing away leads, and they need to start seeing games out, because they've taken the lead in incredibly the last, I think, 4 of the last 5 games, and they've not won any of them. And that you can't be doing that, you know what I mean? And that includes 3-0 leads away from home, and also against Leipzig. You've got to be doing better. By the way, Mane's just gone off here. It looks as though his evening's over. I mean, obviously that's very concerning with the World Cup and his Senegal side coming up. He doesn't look badly injured, but he's gone off. It's things just seem to go from bad to worse for Mane, don't they? He didn't get the penalty, and now all of a sudden he's taken off. I don't know if he's actually going to go off though. He might just have. Let's just stay with it for this. I don't know what's happened exactly here, but yeah, it seems as though Leroy Sané is going to come on for Mane. He looks as though he's got an injury, but whether it's precaution with the World Cup coming close, I don't know. But he doesn't look like really upset or anything. Maybe it's just a precaution thing, but I'm not sure the Bayern fans are going to be that happy to see him go off so willingly, to be honest. Obviously, with the World Cup coming ahead, it is a unique situation this season, isn't it, with a mid-season World Cup? But yeah, no more Mane, and on comes Sané. So we'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah, and I think I've just noticed that there's some bad news for me, my boys, which I've just seen Silas put a really good chance just wide, and it could have been 2-0 as well. So I'll just watch this happen, and I think I'm about to see a Hertha equaliser here, Mark, unfortunately. Let's see what happens. Hertha got the ball at the back. Good forward pass forward, good tackle in midfield. I must be a long way behind here, actually. So I'll kind of just go through it and see how Hertha have got themselves a goal back, because Stuttgart are looking complete control on my screen. Maybe I need to refresh my feed. But it looks like it's 1-1 now, unfortunately. Yeah, look at Bacchio as well. Good grief. That's just typical, isn't it? So yeah, 1 Hertha. I'll let you know when I find the goal. So yeah, just stick with us.
Bayern Munich free kick just coming in here, by the way. Ooh. Have you still not had your goal, Rory, for Hertha yet?
Yeah, no, I have done. I skipped ahead of it, unfortunately, so I've completely missed the goal. With Stuttgart now on the attack again. So yeah, it is 1-1, and I'll let you know when I see.
Oh dear, they're in behind the defence here. Choupo-Moting. Oh, it's cleared. Oh, it's deflected out to Sané. Oh, what an effort that is. Leroy Sané. It's actually pretty much the same. It's a brilliant effort. Oh, no, it's Gnabry. Sorry, it's Gnabry. They both have the same haircut nowadays, don't they? It's not Leroy Sané, it's Gnabry, yeah. But it's a brilliant effort that curled in. Yeah, it's a fantastic effort. I think Amos Pieper is just not having a good afternoon today at all. Like, it's just not. Although, could it be offside? Oh, in we go now. It does look as though it could have been offside here. Amos Pieper is just having a bit of a mare out there. He kind of heads it to Gnabry. It's a really good finish, but there could be an offside in the build-up. Let's just have a look at this. To me, it looked offside from the long ball that was initially sent forward, but they don't seem to be focusing too much on that. Let's just stay with this. Zooming in on the referee now. It seems as though they might even give this. There doesn't seem to be any reason for them to disallow it. But I don't know why, because it looked clearly offside to me. Seems only now he's checking the VAR here. Julian Nagelsmann looks worried a little bit, but surely he's got to disallow that. It looks offside. But anyway, it's going to be they're right on the centre circle. Literally one blow of the whistle here is just going to continue the game, but the ref is still checking that offside. Is he going to go to the board? To me, it looked offside, but maybe I missed something. I don't know.
Well,
we'll go over to Rory to check out the Hertha goal then.
Yeah, I've obviously just completely missed it, to be honest. I'll hope to catch it at half time, because Stuttgart
goal given, but to me that looks a funny one. That I don't know. Was he offside there? Maybe I missed something. It's possible that I could have missed something on there, but it looks clearly offside in the build-up to me.
Almost a goal in Stuttgart. The home side responding quite well to the goal. Ball whipped in by Sousa down the left-hand side, headed back down into the middle. Bit of head tennis, and it's Christensen who does eventually clutch the ball to ensure that the away side don't go back down the goal straight away. I think it was Thiago Tomas with the backwards header, but he couldn't get enough purchase on it, unfortunately, to make the second goal. So yeah, even Stevens in Stuttgart at the moment. it seems that Stuttgart have reacted pretty well to the equaliser though, and are starting to knock the ball around again with confidence. Obviously, we've got both our games are on mute, so we can't say much for what the atmosphere is like. But I'm sure the home support are really trying to cheer them on and push them towards a positive result, because having seen what the table could look like if Stuttgart can get that win tonight, it'd be fantastic and huge news for us. But at the same time, it's incredibly volatile seeing what Hertha win would do to the league as well, with Bochum 2-0 up. So there's a lot riding on this game for sure. Another Sousa cross, this time is blocked and goes out for a throw-in. So a little bit of a break in play. So let's maybe refer to some questions, unless there's anything going on, Mark, in your game.
They're just showing some replays at the moment. Yeah, just looking at that goal. I'd like to see another replay of that initial effort, because the finish was brilliant from Gnabry. You've got to watch that on the highlights reel. But I mean, it's just that offside in the build-up to me. It was a long ball played diagonal to Pavard, who kind of headed it, and it looked as though he was clearly offside to me. But yeah, the ball's just been played wide. It's all Bayern at the moment. After that really good vertigo. Oh, it looks like it could be in again. He's round the keeper. Oh, he's finished it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's 3-1 to Bayern Munich. And it's actually Goretzka who scored. But they're just machines, Bayern Munich, at the moment. They're absolute machines. I just don't know how anyone can stop them, really. It seems as though it's Amos Pieper again who could have been caught there. The guy, the former Bielefeld man, is having an absolute stinker tonight. It really is. But anyway, let's have a look here. It's great football. Again, he is onside this time, clearly onside. It's Pieper who's just nowhere near Goretzka, but how he manages to finish it, I don't know. He goes round the keeper, but there's two Werder men, one of them being Pieper on the line. He just goes over his head and in. It's just, they just, when Bayern Munich get going, they are machines, aren't they? They really are. And this is just, Werder haven't played badly at all, and they scored probably the goal of the night, in truth. But it's just, there's still 3-1 down. There's only 26, 27 minutes on the clock, and it's just, Bayern Munich when they get going. There's no team like it who can score goals like they can. It is the Rory, really.
Yeah, no, not at all. Well, yeah, just a machine of a team, like you say. And once they get onto a roll, impossible to stop, really. And even Werder with Füllkrug in the team would have had a shot in the dark, but even without him, they could be clutching at straws a little bit. But they got themselves back into it with the equaliser. So if they can get one before half time and keep it shut until then, you never know. Another half chance for Thiago Tomas over here in Stuttgart, but his effort was tame and straight at Christensen. So nothing doing there. Just as Hertha trying to get the ball forward again. I've got the ball in the middle of the park. Some nice little interchanging football. I have to say, again, good quality game of football so far between two teams that are maybe, struggling on confidence.
Bayern in again. Bayern 1-1. Leroy Sané passes it. Oh, it's 4-1. Leroy Sané passes it to Gnabry. He's gone round the keeper again. The keeper, Pavlenka, is just, remember they missed a penalty as well, Bayern Munich, in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, the 4-1 up after 28 minutes. Oh my God. It's just, yeah. I don't know. What can you say about Bayern when they get into this form, really? They've done it to some of the European giants in recent weeks, haven't they? They beat, obviously, Barcelona 3-0 in the Nou Camp. They're just, when they get going, I just think it's like a mixture of that Bundesliga style of just like all-out attack. You know what I mean? They're not interested in keeping 80, 85% possession like some of the English or Spanish teams. They just want goals. Do you know what I mean? And it's just, I think that's what makes them so dangerous at times. They play like a Bundesliga team. Do you know what I mean? Which is good in many ways. It makes them so good to watch. But Jesus Christ, this is just brutal, really. It's like Werder are a good team and they've played well on the ball, but they're just getting caught. They've been too attacking. The only way to beat Bayern Munich is just to defend 10 men behind the ball. I think that's the only way to beat them. But Bundesliga teams don't play like that, do they? They want to score goals, and that's what we love about the league. But I don't know. This could get really, really, really embarrassing for Werder. I mean, it's not even half an hour on the clock. They've scored 4 goals and missed a penalty, Bayern.
Yeah, that is crazy, to be fair. Absolute carnage in your game. Mine's a lot more settled and structured, I must admit, but no less enjoyable to watch. Just as Silas was fouled quite badly, but I think the Hertha man who did the foul got away with without being booked actually. But Silas is playing well up top. I prefer him and Guirassy as a strike partnership. I think that's quite an exciting partnership for Stuttgart fans to enjoy as they come down the right hand side.
It should have been five. Should have been five just before the half-hour mark. Gnabry has smashed it over, went one-on-one with Pavlenka. Incredible. They've just thought they need half-time here. Their defence is having an absolute mare here, Werder Bremen, really. Like, one ball is just taking out the entire defence time after time. Like, they need half-time or even full-time, in truth. But they've still got another over an hour to play, yeah. They're just getting absolutely killed here. I would say this is the best I've seen Bayern this season, really. They've just been... And I would say they've been better since Mane went off, incredibly. Since Sane came on, and he's just been a machine. Him and Gnabry are just ridiculous. This is. It should be 5-1, really.
Wow. Well, again, until you get more action in your game, Mark, or we get some other goals elsewhere, let's come to another question that was asked, and one that's pretty much directly for you, and it's basically the same question asked by Dave and Alan Michaels on Twitter. So thanks both for your question. It was along the lines of so the first part of it was which of the matchday experiences that you've done, Mark, in the last few weeks would you recommend the most? And adding on to that, will you be doing more this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say which I'd recommend the most because I just love German match days. I really love, but not just the Bundesliga, but the whole German system, in truth. I do like the Zweite games as well. I mean, the obvious recommendation would be Nuremberg because it's my team, it's my local city. But I would say, I mean, even like Augsburg's a good match day for Bundesliga. It's quite easy to get tickets for Augsburg, whereas some of the other teams it's really hard. So if you want to see a Bundesliga game, then Augsburg could be a good shout. It's a good atmosphere, a proper football atmosphere, a traditional club, but like one of the smaller clubs in the Bundesliga. So you can get tickets for them if you get. But the stadium pretty much is very close to capacity. So I think like they get 26, 28,000 on in a 30,000 seater stadium. So it's still a good atmosphere and things. I would say even the lower leagues, I mean, the Bayreuth game, I mean, that was so old school. I'm not even sure that stadium will be allowed in England, to be honest with you. Because it was like, to say it was old school is like an understatement, really. But even the lower league games, as I mentioned on Sunday, I want to get over to more lower league fixtures as well. But so far I'd probably say Nuremberg. I've got to recommend Nuremberg. But even Fürth, there were good things about Fürth as well. I was up in with the ultras for that game. Just get over to Germany and watch live games. Really, you can't beat it.
Yeah, just distracted by a horrible challenge by former VfB man and used to be one of my favourite players until now, Mark Oliver Kempf, who raked the back of Guirassy's ankle. Really nasty tackle, actually. Has been booked for it. Guirassy's still on the floor and really need him to come through this. Very poor challenge indeed there. And the forward two of Stuttgart are getting a bit of treatment at the moment as we see him putting away his goal again. So, some great plans you've got, Mark, going forwards, no doubt. I think, obviously, we are still trying to plan my trip over. I've just seen the Hertha goal as a replay. Looked like a nice cross into the box and look back, was at the back post and side foots the ball home on the volley. Couldn't really tell too much if it was a defensive mistake or if Muller could have done anything about it, unfortunately. But that was the equalising goal. We're just at a bit of a standstill in my game. Bochum still hanging on, 2-0 up, 33 minutes gone in their game, Mark. I'm guessing they'll want to get in at half time, still 2-0 up and not give Gladbach any hope of a big comeback because they've obviously got the players up front to do so.
Yeah, well, if you look at the game, I'm just looking at the XG. It's 1.35 to Bochum and only 0.18 for Gladbach. Jeez, yeah. So you can see that they're well on top. Like, Gladbach seem to be having one of those nights that they've had too much in the last 18 months, let's be honest, and it's they just seem to be getting outplayed, really, and as I say, Bochum, after a very poor start, they have slowly grown into the season. I didn't think they were that bad against Dortmund the other night. It was never a 3-0 game, that one. I think they played okay. They matched Dortmund in some areas. And I think Philipp Hoffmann could be the answer to some of their goal-scoring problems. He has scored quite a few goals in recent weeks, actually. He should have had one against Dortmund, which for me was very harshly disallowed, to be honest, on Saturday. It looked level to me, but it must have been one of those armpit offside or something. Yeah. But yeah, he looks a good player, And if you look at the side, Sturger is a good player. He was a good signing from Mainz. Lucia is always a decent player. Not so sure about Philipp Förster, to be honest. I think he was one of those that Stuttgart shoved out the back door, really, wasn't he, last season? And, he seemed to be one of those. We talk about those. Stuttgart do seem to have some really dodgy players at times, and he was one of them in my eyes. But if you look at their side, it's not that bad. You've got Suarez as well, Riemann. It's possible if they can win tonight, they're going to get real confidence, and they'll be hoping for a draw in the Stuttgart Hertha game. And if it is a draw, then the table won't be looking that bad for them all of a sudden.
Yeah, absolutely. Bit of handbags over in my game. Mavropanos ran over to make a good clearance when Hertha were going through or nearly going through on goal. Did well, and then he's obviously been upset by something Richter said or done, and then reacted very aggressively towards him. And both players have been booked a result. So Mavropanos, centre half for Stuttgart. Actually, is something that it was Richter. He just gave him a little push, and Mavropanos went for him pretty much. So I'm glad the players are able to separate them there, because a red card is not what Stuttgart need. They've had enough of those already this season. So it is still 11 versus 11 on the pitch with Hertha with the ball in the by the corner flag, and they've won themselves a corner. So a chance for the away side to swing in a set piece. 10 minutes to go in the first half here. So again, I'll see what comes of this, and then we'll head over to you, Mark, to see if there's been any positive reaction by Werder as Richter looks to do an in-swinging corner. So let's see how he goes on this one. Davy Selke, no doubt, will be a target man using his height in the box. Hand up in the air, about to be whipped in. Good delivery, flicked on. Oh my God, cleared off the line. Was it Ito with the clearance? And Stuttgart can now counter-attack. Oh, if it could have counter-attacked if Silas's touch was any good. But they are still going. Stay with this. Oh, God, that's a terrible cross. And it's in the hands of Christensen. Wow. Chance there for Hertha to go 2-1 up. I'm not sure if the flicked on header was actually going directly in, but I think it was a goal line clearance of sorts by Ito to keep the home side from going 2-1 down. So Hertha, could very easily be 2-1 up. And yeah, I think Stuttgart could really use half time and kind of reset themselves a little bit. What's going on in your game, Mark?
Yeah, just a brilliant tackle from Upamecano there. It was the first time in ages that Werder have had a chance to get forward. And if he had managed to beat Upamecano to the ball, I think it was Burke, actually, who's pretty much done nothing in the whole game, in truth. If he'd beaten him, he could have potentially been through on goal. This game is so attacking, literally. Like, both defenders are practically on the halfway line. It's just an insane game, really. There could have been more goals for Bayern, as I say. They've missed a penalty. They've had Gnabry missed a sitter. But to be honest, Werder have probably too little too late got back into the game in the last 5 minutes or so. They've got a bit more possession. Even now here, they go forward through Young. They've started to play a bit more football, but they're just shell-shocked. I mean, how often do you see it when a team get like 3 goals in the space of pretty much 5 or 7 minutes, really, just to put the game so far beyond you, it's just, this Bayern team is just, they're just something else, really. I don't know. It's just, a lot of people ask me like who can stop Bayern, but I just don't know, to be honest with you. Like I'm running out of answers because like everybody in Germany, apart from Bayern fans, wants anyone else to win it, apart from Bayern. But and at one point this season, I really did believe that they could be beaten to the title because they didn't start, after that first 3 games, they went 4 without a win. I mean, 4 without a win is like going 20 without a win for any other team. But they just couldn't, teams had the chances, but they just, when Bayern go on a run like this, you just can't stop them, can you? And they threw again here. Oh, it's not going to be another penalty, is it? Oh, geez, yeah. I think we might have a VAR check on a potential handball for another penalty here for Bayern. The ref's not giving it initially, but is he going to check the VAR? Or is he going to feel sorry for Werder? It's actually Sane again. I actually think they look better in the team when Sane plays rather than Mane, in truth. Yeah, it will be harsh, but it was actually an attempted tackle, but he did handle it. They might have to check that because it stopped Sane from going through on goal. I think they might have to check that. It looks like they've got lucky. I think that sometimes happens in football, doesn't it? Like referees feel sorry for teams, and this is one of those situations, definitely. It should have been, for me, that was possibly more of a penalty than the other one, in truth. The defender literally... Sane was so skillful that he shook off the defender. The defender fell and handled the ball basically, and then Sane lost possession. It should have been a penalty that, but I think when you're 4-1 up, you don't really need a penalty. So I guess the referee and the linesman took a bit of pity on Werder there, but it should have been a penalty for me. That.
Well, obviously one that they've got away with there, Werder, as it remains 4-1 going towards half time, crossing for Stuttgart, which is unfortunately a bit of a waste. So nothing coming off that by Egloff. So it is still 1-1 going towards half time. Bochum still doing what they need to do as it remains 2-0 to the side in 17th place at the moment. Be a huge result for them. Gladbach not showing any real signs right now anyway of a comeback. They may come out of the blocks in the second half, though. We will have to see. There's a bit of messy football by Hertha leads to a Stuttgart corner and a chance to whip it in and see if they can get the likes of Guirassy and Anton and Mavropanos getting their heads to this. Hertha at the other end look really dangerous from set pieces. They had a corner about 2-3 minutes ago and had another flick on header and it went just over. So yeah, every time that they get a chance, it's going to be quite dangerous. But Sousa's just standing over this one. It's going to be an outswinger coming into the box. Well defended actually by Hertha. Ball's come back to Sousa down the left-hand side. Can he get a cross in? Comes in field, very far in field, and comes to nothing. And Hertha can now break. So we'll come to, obviously we'll be able to get through a load of questions at half time. We'll look at the Wolfsburg result in a bit more detail as well. Just want to kind of see where this is going for Stuttgart again. Nothing comes to their attack, but again, they're starting to look a lot more dangerous coming down both wing backs really with Sousa and Anton. It's a good ball back in by Thiago Tomas. Sousa on the ball again here. And at the moment, they're camped in the Hertha final third mark and ball into the area. Ooh, corner again. Pressure being applied by the home side.
Almost a brilliant Mitchell Weiser. There's not many Werder players who can hold their head up high, but he can. Mitchell Weiser. What a ball that was to Burke. And it would have been one of the assists of the season. He plays a ball from pretty much the halfway line. And it kind of swerves around right into the path of Burke. But Burke is just not up to the task, unfortunately. You see, that's where, if it was Füllkrug, he'd probably have put the ball in the back of the net there because he runs pretty much one-on-one, but he plays it too close to Neuer, and Neuer comfortably saves in the end. But yeah, I mean, what a ball that was from Weiser, you know. You see, that's why you need your big men up there, because that would probably have been 4-2. And at 4-2, I'm not saying they'd have come back into it by any means, but it would have been a bit more respectable at half time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know with the Bundesliga, but
I can't believe what I've just seen. Literally, it's what is that? Seriously, I've just got to. Sorry to keep interrupting you there. This game has just been mad. Upamecano has played a ball. Oh, I don't even like. Literally, he's played the ball and it's literally hit Dutch, and he's not an open net. Literally an open net, and he's skied it wide. He had all the space. I cannot believe he's missed that. Cannot believe he has missed that. Really. And just as I'm speaking now, Bayern have just had another shot on target. This has just been one of the craziest games I can remember, but it should be 4-2 twice now.
Wow.
That's so frustrating. If that was Fulkrug, it'd be 4-3.
Yeah. Yeah, huge miss for Werder, isn't he? Sousa with another cross. Very dodgy clearance there by Hertha, and it's a third corner for Stuttgart in the last few minutes, and they're starting to ramp up the pressure here. But unfortunately, at the moment, it's not leading to any great chances or any great goals. So right now, all the excitement is happening in Munich because the corner is taken short this time. Whipped in. Oh, go on! Oh, goal line clearance again. Hertha somehow scramble it clear. Oh, what a chance. Should be 2-1. Should be 2-1 Stuttgart. The short corner was well worked. The cross in from Thomas. It was headed on by Mavropanos. Great save by Christensen. And then Hertha somehow scrambled bodies in front of him and Christensen can pick up the loose ball. Oh, wow. Yeah, great chance. Should be 2-1 to the home side with just, a couple minutes to spare in this first half, which has been maybe not as entertaining as in Munich, but for a 1-1 game so far, it's been pretty exciting, I have to admit. So, Stuttgart with 8 shots in total so far and 61% possession. So certainly from a statistical point of view, aren't doing too bad at all. But Hertha themselves have looked dangerous, particularly from set pieces as well, with about a minute to go here in Stuttgart, in the south of Germany, and of course still keeping a track of Bochum as it's still 2-0 to the home side, Mark, and it's all very exciting stuff, and it won't be far off halftime in your game as well.
Yeah, it has. It's just gone half time actually, and it's just I need another half hour just to catch my breath after that. I mean, that was just a crazy match, really. Like I think 4-1, 5 goals in the first half, but there should be at least 2 more, one for both sides. I mean, obviously Choupo-Moting's missed penalty for Bayern. And then that Dutch effort, oh my God, like how has he not scored that, really? But even Burke had a great chance just a few minutes before that as well. Not as good a chance, because he still had to control the ball and then finish it past Neuer. But, Bremen, they can score another goal or 2 in this game with a bit more composure. It's just so unlucky that Fulkrug has missed this game, really. It's just such a pity. But, I mean, what a game. It has been a brilliant game of football. But Bayern Munich, when they get going, I just have no words, really. I honestly believe there's no side in Europe that can score goals like they can. There really isn't. It's just, as you say, they don't want to just play it around the midfield like a lot of top teams do. They don't want to do that. They just want goal, goal, goal. And they'll only stop at 10. Do you know what I mean? It's like, like that's just what the fans want. It's what the German culture in football wants. They just want goal after goal, and they don't stop and try and play possession football once they get 3 or 4. They just keep going for more, and it's frightening. It really is. I mean, this game could finish 8-2 or something quite easily.
Yeah, just as there's almost a goal for Stuttgart. Great work by Silas down the right hand side, whipped in his cross and it hit. I didn't see who it hit. It might have been Toussaint, and it's so close to being an own goal. Just went wide. Then the resulting corner was well caught by Christensen, and it looked like he fell really badly. It looked like he might have done his shoulder, but after a little bit of a stoppage, he seems to be okay, and we're playing on. So Hertha will be relieved to see Christensen is okay and there's no substitute required. And I think we're more or less on half time. Yeah, I can see on the screen that we are a couple of seconds behind. So, wow, what a first half, Mark. I mean, it's the first time we've done this before. Has been great fun, hasn't it? Some goals everywhere. I mean, just quickly summarise the first half in Munich for us then.
Yeah, I mean, it was just obviously the I've forgotten half the goals now. There's been so many of them, but yeah, the opening goal was actually it wasn't Goretzka, actually. It was the opening goal. It was it was Jamal Musiala. Actually, it seems so long ago now.
Yeah.
Actually, when Musiala put it in, that one was a little bit scrappy, to be honest. Werder probably should have done a bit better. It was a mistake from Anthony Young, who kind of allowed the Musiala to break free. Then it was a shot from Mane, which was blocked, and then it just kind of fell to Musiala, who did one of those like waited until he shot and then found the gap on the defenders on the line. That was 1-0. Just a few minutes later, the man who made the mistake, Anthony Young, scored a really good equaliser. It was mostly good play from Mitchell Weiser, the right back, who some great play, played a little ball out to Young, who finished really well and convincingly. And by that point, it was 1-1 for around 10 minutes. Then, obviously, the big moment, Amos Pieper tripped Gnabry for a penalty. And he actually, Choupo-Moting missed the penalty, obviously. So you were thinking, maybe Werder can get something out of the game. But you still realise at that point that Bayern were getting too many chances, really. That was the problem. It was too open for Werder's perspective. Then, just a few minutes after Mane obviously went off, that's another piece of big news, actually, whether he's going to have taken a pretty serious injury. Potentially could have problems for the World Cup. But yeah, so he went off, and then it was actually... the second goal was Gnabry. Yeah. But for me, there were suspicions of offside in this one. Actually, there really were suspicions of offside. I'd like to see that again, but they did check the VAR and they gave the goal. But nowadays, it's so confusing what is classified as offside and stuff, isn't it? So, yeah, but that was 2-1. So a few minutes after, it was 3-1 through Leon Goretzka, who finished really well after going round Pavlenka and then finishing with Pieper just on the line. Then just a couple of minutes after that, it was 4-1 with Sane going round the goalkeeper and just laying it on a plate for Gnabry, who made it 4-1. Then Gnabry probably should have had his hat-trick, in truth. He went through on goal just a couple of minutes after that and smashed over when, if it was on target, it was 5-1, basically. But then the action still wasn't over. Bayern Munich probably should have had a penalty as well. For me, I think it was Young who fell over. Like, it was such good play from Gnabry. He literally forced the defender to fall over, and then he kind of fell onto the ball, touched the ball. The ball went out for a corner, but the ref didn't give a penalty. But I thought it was a bit harsh, that one on Bayern. But then Werder kind of finished the half strongly as well. And I mean, an awful ball from Upamecano. I mean, that was absolutely dreadful. He literally passed it to Dutch right in front of the goal, who kind of stretch for the ball. He had the whole goal to aim at because Neuer was miles away somewhere, and he somehow managed to screw it wide. And then on top of that, Mitchell Weiser played a brilliant ball in for Chris Burke, who couldn't control it, and it was easily saved by Neuer. Then on top of that, there was some other chances as well for Bayern Munich, but what a match that was. A brilliant game of football.
Good stuff. And yeah, the one game that we're not covering, we've got a shock in store at the moment. Bochum in 17th place at 2-0 up at home against wavering Gladbach, whose form is up and down at the moment, despite the win on Friday night. Friday gone against Stuttgart. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that one. Goals from Hoffman and Teodeji. And then my game, Stuttgart Hertha, a huge game at the bottom of the table. Stuttgart into an early lead thanks to a nice pass through by Thiago Tomas, really well finished by Karasi, top right bins. They looked in, relative control, but Hertha came roaring back with a goal of their own through Lou Bacchio, found at the back post by a nice curling cross and side-footed on the volley home past Muller. Since then, a couple of chances. Hertha had a chance of their own, headed, and then great work by Ito to kind of clear it off the line for Stuttgart. And then after that, chances more or less all Stuttgart. They themselves had a bit of a goalmouth scramble at the other end, almost an own goal by Hertha as well, and a couple of other chances that Stuttgart created by going down the flanks. So yeah, really exciting stuff. just very quickly before we get into some questions, Mark Baker asking you, Mark, your namesake, to do some trips to the following clubs: Union Berlin, Dresden, Hansa Rostock, Borussia Dortmund, Hamburg, Bielefeld, Stuttgart, Frankfurt, St. Pauli, and RB Leipzig. So you've got your list there, Mark. You're writing those down. Make sure you're off to some of those. Maybe we can do some of those games when I come over as well. So yeah, thanks for those suggestions, Mark. Hope you're enjoying the watch along so far. But let's get through to some questions that we've had then previously asked on Twitter. So let's go to a question from FBL Thinker, our good friend, who we've not heard from for a little while. So he's asked, what's your view of Frankfurt's rise? Last year they won the Europa League. This year they qualified for the round of 16 in the Champions League. Yeah, not doing so well in the Bundesliga. So what do you reckon, Mark? I mean, Frankfurt look like a really dangerous team at the moment and playing some really good stuff under Glasner.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Frankfurt are another of my favourite teams to watch in the Bundesliga. I just think they're absolutely brilliant to watch. I mean, Kolo Muani is, for me, one of the players of the season so far. I mean, what a player he is, really. Looks as though he could even be going to the World Cup with France, which proves just how much he's improved this season. And he's done it both in Europe and at home, and I'm not sure I'd really agree that they're not doing well in the league. They're quite well placed in the league, to be honest with you. I think they had a poor start, I agree. But if you look at them now, they're currently fifth. And before today's game, they were only 5 points off Bayern at the top of the league. So, obviously they've won 7 games out of 13. So it's still not bad going. Their goal will be to finish top 4 this season. They will expect to finish top 4 with that squad and the quality of player. But it's not only the results, it's also how entertaining they are to watch as well. They're just a brilliant team to watch. And as you say, the European journey just keeps going from strength to strength. It's, obviously they've drawn Napoli in the Champions League. And a lot of people, I know Napoli are a very good team, but it's not necessarily mean that they're going to last the whole season, Napoli, And I do believe that there are harder draws out there. Like, for example, Manchester City or Real Madrid would have been harder draws for me. So I think Napoli are beatable, even though there's no question they are a very good team at the moment. But so are Frankfurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll kind of link the next question into what we're doing now, because there's been questions about the reaction, our reaction to the European draws for the Bundesliga side. So we'll do that in a sec. But yeah, Frankfurt have been really good. The Europa League was fantastic. Obviously, our watch along that we did for it, high emotions. I think, even Newmark was shedding a tear at Rafa Borre's penalty to win it, who's a bit of a forgotten man, really, given the strength, given the strength of Frankfurt. And you've also got Lucas Alario on the bench. So, going forwards, Frankfurt have got, that great depth, which will help them doing, the two matches a week, depending on how long they stay in Europe for. So, there's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't aim for a top 4 in the Bundesliga and see what they can do in Europe. So yeah, thanks for that question, FBL Thinker. Really did obviously interesting club, Frankfurt, for sure. And, long may their good work continue. So let's get on to what is probably one of the most topical questions at the moment, which has been asked by both Paul McGarrigy, Over the Bar's very own Paul, and Adam Smith. Was asked, how far will the German teams go in European competitions this year? And from a Bundesliga perspective, what do we make of the draws? So we've kind of touched upon Frankfurt, Napoli a little bit already, Mark. Do we just think that it depends by the time they're both playing each other? Frankfurt have got a good chance. Napoli scored 20 goals in their 6 group games, but they also conceded 14. So there's still mitigation for Frankfurt to have at least a half-decent chance if they're still playing well in February.
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, Napoli have been one of the success stories of the year in Europe. I mean, they're going for the first Scudetto in Italy, I think, since 1990 when Maradona. I wish them all the best. I really do. But obviously, in this particular game, we'll be rooting for Frankfurt well and truly. And I do believe that it's a more even tie than people think, because I just think Frankfurt are a great team, really a great. And if you look at the Napoli squad, they don't have a team full of star names and stuff like that. They're pretty much a team on the up. They've got a lot of young players, a good mix, very much like Frankfurt, I guess. And I think these are two likable clubs, in my opinion. But yeah, I think we've got to look at what the form's like in February, because I'm not sure whether Napoli are going to keep this level of form for the whole season. Because obviously they have been brilliant, like one of the best teams in Europe so far this season. There's no question about that. But I mean, if you look at the squad, it's not like the pack with like already star names. Most of these players are on the way up in football, and I think it's possible that they could get sickness from obviously height sickness or whatever, the fact they're kind of progressing too quickly, basically, that is possible as well. We've seen that happen with a lot of teams before, similar to what happened with Ajax a few years ago when everyone thought they were going to win the Champions League and then they conceded 3 goals in like 20 minutes against Spurs to be knocked out. So this kind of thing can happen in the Champions League. And I think Frankfurt, they won't be too disappointed with that draw, As I say, you wouldn't want to play a team like Man City, Liverpool, or Real Madrid. They're the 3 teams to avoid, in my opinion, because they've had obviously so much experience, so much success at that level. And I think they were the 3 teams you really wanted to avoid for me.
Right. Well, speaking of City, we know that they've been drawn against RB Leipzig. Leipzig are playing some good stuff under Rosa at the moment, and they got through that match against Shakhtar away from home really professionally, and 4-0 win was actually a really good performance. They're starting to crawl up the table as well, as we mentioned. So, I mean, again, over the course of 180 minutes of football, you expect City to go through. Probably the end of the road in Europe for Leipzig, Mark.
Yeah, I think it could be a bit pessimistic to say it's that clear cut, because I think Leipzig are playing well too. They really are. Like they beat Real Madrid easily the other week. Like they dominated Real. I know the scoreline was only 3-1, but it's 3-2, but it should have been, two goals minimum clear. I watched that game and they were dominant the whole match. And I just think, the game management needs to improve a little bit. That's the problem with Leipzig. They're not the best team with game management, and they will score at least 2 or 3 goals, I think, over those 2 games against City, but it's whether they can keep them out. That's the problem, and I think it'll be an entertaining 2 games. Obviously, I think in this case, the fact that the home game is first for Leipzig actually is an advantage, because they'll know then that they can put everything into the home game, and even if they can win that 2-1 or 3-2, it'll give them confidence into the away game at City. But obviously, City are probably 1-3, 1-4 on favourites to win this tie. But I don't think, like Leipzig, they look good under Rosa. I mean, Rosa, a lot of people said when Rosa was appointed that he could be the perfect fit for Leipzig. And so far, it's looked that way to me.
Yeah, they've been, it took a little bit of time, didn't it? But they are starting to get on track now for sure. Another interesting tie between Germany and English team. So we got Borussia Dortmund hosting or taking on Chelsea. Obviously we've seen Dortmund lose 2-0 to Wolfsburg already earlier on this evening, Mark. So, just as the games are starting to get kicked off for the second half here, what do we think about Dortmund? Because Chelsea themselves have been a bit of a working, underwhelming so far this season. Obviously, Tuchel paying the price for it, Potter coming in and having, a little bit of success here and there, but that looks like the most open one to me. I think that could be quite an entertaining 2 legs of football.
Yeah, definitely. It's 2 sides that are in transition, really, isn't it? Neither side are anywhere near the peak at the moment, that's for sure. I mean, I do like Graham Potter as a manager in England, but I just hope they give him time, because in truth, they've not, for me, been that good under Potter really so far. And I think, obviously, they've lost 3 or 4 games, and he's only been there a couple of months, hasn't he, which is too many by Chelsea standards. And I do hope they stick with him, because I think he's a great manager, but he's a project manager. Do you understand? They'll need to give him 3 or 4 years until he starts winning trophies there for me. A little bit like Arteta. And fair play to Arsenal, they stuck with Arteta, even though he was pretty poor for the first couple of years, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. But now they're obviously sowing the seeds of that, aren't they? They're getting the results that they wanted. And I think that's what Chelsea will have to do with Potter. But As for Dortmund, I thought they were brilliant against Man City in both of those games. They really were brilliant, especially at the Etihad, actually, in the game that they lost. But if they play to that standard, they can beat Chelsea. And again, I think it suits them that the first leg is at the Signal Iduna Arena, because if they can take a win to Chelsea, it'll put a lot of pressure on Chelsea. And who knows, at that time, Potter could be facing some real pressure if results continue to go the way they have been the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, Bayern Werder's back underway, Mark. So obviously you can tune back into that and keep us posted for any goals or exciting action. Paul just mentioning City's very good record against Bundesliga sides, which I'm sure he's very proud of, being a City fan. But their last loss did come against RB Leipzig, interestingly enough. So we shall see. But yeah, Bayern PSG, Mark, that is really not reward for topping your group, is it? Obviously, because of the great work done by, was it Porto who topped PSG's group? Benfica, sorry. Benfica, romping that 6-1 win in it and, topping the group on goal difference in the end meant that PSG were a runner-up. And Bayern have to now play them over 2 legs. The worst draw they could have got for topping the group, but obviously the way they're playing now, that they'll have their own inner confidence that they can overcome this, and if they can overcome it, then surely it's semi-finals, final minimum for them.
Yeah, obviously it's the rerun of the 2020 final as well, isn't it? That one that was played in behind closed doors. Yeah. But I just think, for me, if Bayern continue to play, they have been recent. The way they've been doing recently, they won't even get close to them, PSG, for me. I really don't think. PSG are one of those teams that, I don't know, they flatter to deceive for me. The 1 year they looked really good was that year under Tuchel when they got to the final. They did well that year, but it was a weird Champions League, you have to remember, because it was played one-legged matches, wasn't it, that year? I just think Bayern Munich just look better in all departments. And obviously, PSG have got the star names. They've got the Messi, the Neymar, the Mbappe. But I've never really seen that they seem to combine that well together in a weird way. They can put a few goals past Maccabi Haifa. Yeah, they can do that. But can they do it against Bayern Munich? Do you know what I mean? And my answer would be no. I would definitely fancy Bayern to win relatively comfortably, actually, as well. I can see them winning both legs in this tie. I've got a lot of faith in this Bayern team playing the way they are now. But as Ballum says in the comments, there is a lot of pressure on them as well. Yeah, they are expected to win the Champions League this year. But I think, for me, the Champions League this year is between Bayern, City and Real Madrid. They're the 3 teams that really stand out for me.
Yeah, good stuff. Players coming back out, and now we're back underway in Stuttgart as well. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on the second halves and how they progress, and obviously we'll be coming to the questions as well. And just whilst the second halves are kind of getting up to speed, we'll look at the Europa League draw, because it's also really interesting. So Freiburg are straight into the round of 16, as we clarified. No playoff for them after topping their group, so they've got a great chance of going deep into this competition, I think, Mark. Obviously we'll have to see what the draw looks like for them when it's made. But the way that they're playing, obviously we did the watchalong on Sunday. They're so controlled in the way that they played, and I think they've got a great chance of having a really good run in Europe. So we'll not focus on them too much, because we don't know who they're drawing against just yet. But we've got Union Berlin drawn against Ajax. What a nice draw that is for Union, Mark. That'll be an exciting game. For Ajax, aren't the team that they once were in recent years anyway, but they're still a very experienced European side compared to Union. So what are Union's chances of maybe getting through this tough playoff round draw?
Yeah, Ajax are obviously favourites in this tie. There's no question about that. But I think it also depends, there's a few things you have to think, because, Ajax feel as though they should be in the Champions League. That's where they want to be. So will they take the Europa League that seriously? I don't know, really. It's you'd imagine, yes, but sometimes you see teams that don't really take it that seriously, don't you? So That's the first thing you've got to consider. Second is that Union's defence in Europe, they only conceded 2 goals in the group. So, I mean, it's clear that they're trying to play super defensive and just nick a goal here and there. And I think that could be the best way for Union to beat Ajax, actually. If they, close the space, they don't have the likes of Anthony or David Neres that they used to have who would unlock that Union defence. And I think it is possible that Union can. I don't think there'll be many goals in this tie. I think it'll be like a 2-1 either way, to one side or the other. But I think Union have a chance. Ajax is still favourite, but for me, it could be one of those special nights in the east part of Berlin, and I'm going to go for Union just to edge them out, like 2-1 on aggregate or something like that.
Okay, yeah, interesting stuff. Obviously, fingers crossed for Union to do it as well as they can do. The other team that's involved in the Europa League playoff round is Bayer Leverkusen, obviously after coming third in their group with Xabi Alonso now taking charge. They're drawn against Monaco, who are sitting fifth place in the French league. So, an interesting one for both sides because, Monaco's form is okay enough. Leverkusen, starting to maybe pick up under Xabi Alonso, and now we'll have a bit of time with the World Cup break coming up to get that confidence, that proper training. And so we'll maybe see a different Leverkusen side, after the winter break.
Yeah, I think a lot of this tie depends on the Leverkusen that turns up. I think obviously we all know they've got good players. If they play the same level as they did last season, I think they'll probably beat Monaco. But it's if they play like they've done for most of this season, they won't beat them. So it's as simple as that. But I'm hoping that Xabi Alonso is going to, really kind of drill in his methods over the long winter break. Some of the players will obviously be going away to the World Cup, but I don't think there's that many that are set to go, actually, because obviously Patrick Schick, Czech Republic, didn't qualify. I think Diaby, I don't think will be going. I think they only have a few players that are set to be going to the World Cup. So, I think he's obviously a highly rated coach, Alonso, and he got his first big win, really. Obviously he'd won a couple of less significant games, but that win against Union is a real morale booster. But it was the scoreline flattered them because in the first half they didn't really play well, but it was just one of them where Union just fell apart. So I wouldn't read too much into that 5-0 win against Union. They didn't play like amazingly well for a 5-0, really. But obviously it's a step in the right direction. But it's they need to play a lot better. But I do believe that Leverkusen could potentially go the deepest of all 3 teams in Europe because they've got that experience, and they did play pretty well in that group as well in the Champions League. But obviously they've got to do better than what they've done. I'd like to say Leverkusen would win, but for me, this one fully depends on what Leverkusen are playing like at that part of the season, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. So, we'll come to a couple more questions in a moment. Mark, quiet start in Munich, or are they just starting to get into countdown mode for their last game before?
You just mentioned that as they hit the post, and it was Leroy Sané running through again, and he side foots the ball against the post and out. So it could have been 5-1 very easily. Choupo-Moting doing really well to win the ball back and thread the ball through to Leroy Sané. It looks in all the way. I was about to say goal, but it clipped the bottom of the post and went wide. So a little bit unlucky. Obviously, Choupo-Moting will want his goal too. He'll be really frustrated if he ends up losing his run after missing a penalty today. So I think he'll want his goal. But yeah, I do expect to see more goals in this game. Chris Berg just looks completely off the pace, in all honesty. Obviously he probably didn't expect to be starting today. He's had a bit of he just looks below the quality in truth. But yeah, I mean, I hope Werder can get another goal or two just as a kind of souvenir, so to speak, from the trip to the Allianz. But probably Bayern Munich looking the more likely to get the 6th goal of this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Good chance for Stuttgart here to put in a free kick from Sousa. Flicked on, was half dangerous, but comes to nothing for the home side. So yeah, 5 minutes gone, roughly 5 to 6 minutes gone in the second half, and it's still 1-1. Bochum as well. Let's not forget about Bochum, Gladbach. Obviously, at the moment that stands to be a huge result for the home side. Are still indeed 2-0 up early in the second half. No early, comeback at the moment by Gladbach. So we'll keep an eye on that. Just as the games are having, their early stages, we'll come to another question where we can. Another one in from Adam Smith has asked, can Union and Freiburg sustain a top 4 push this season? Seems to be a fairly popular question this season, Mark. What do we reckon? Both teams are starting to show that maybe the demands of how hard it is to, certainly keep pace with Bayern, maybe not so much Bayern, but I think both teams have got a fairly good chance of pushing for that top 4 still in what is going to be an extended second half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just hard with the Europe as well. That's the problem. You've got to remember both teams have been playing pretty much Thursday, Sunday every week of this season, and both are still in the cup as well, incredibly. It just proves how well they've done. But they do have some squad depth, but they don't have the same kind of squad depth as Bayern Munich or Leipzig or Dortmund have, I mean, it is hard, isn't it? I would still expect Bayern, Dortmund, and Leipzig all to make the top 3. And then I think it's one of basically Freiburg, Union, and Frankfurt, I would say, for me. One of them 3 will probably get top 4. I just think Leipzig, they always come good, don't they, eventually? They always put a run together where they win 5 or 6 games in a row, and that's hard to keep up with. And I think they're pretty much on that kind of run at the moment as well. I think tomorrow's game is important, actually, for Leipzig-Freiburg. I think if Leipzig win that, it's looking a bit dodgy. I think Dortmund, they always find a way to get in the top 4, but I don't know how at times, because to be honest, at times this season, they've been lucky to get a lot of the results they have, and they were outplayed tonight against Wolfsburg, and they shouldn't have beaten Freiburg, they shouldn't have beaten Frankfurt, but I still think they'll get top 4 because it's just what Dortmund do, isn't it? They always get top 4, so I expect they'll do that again this season. So yeah, I'd say one of Freiburg, Union, and Frankfurt will get Champions League.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Leipzig have, historically, since they've been in the Bundesliga, have they ever come outside the top 4? I have to check the numbers on that, but they've never really.
Since they were not in the top 4, I think.
Yeah, so you expect them to come good with the quality that they've got, and what is possibly going to be Nkunku's last season for Leipzig. We'll have to see about that. He'll want to finish on a high and get them Champions League football at the very least, and agreed with Dortmund. So yeah, probably one of Freiburg, Union, or Frankfurt. Can't see anyone else really showing enough consistency to be in the argument, unless Leverkusen go on a mad one. But that at the moment is probably fairly unlikely. So yeah, interesting question. That as just here in Stuttgart, there's throw-in for the home side. Nothing doing too much since that Sousa free kick came in. A fairly even start. Any more chances for Bayern, Mark, or Werder trying to get themselves back into it?
Yeah, not really, no. The second half's been a lot slower, to be honest, and very much expected, apart from that one Sane chance. But I've got to say, Chris Berg's gone off for... Okay. It is Oliver. Chris Berg, isn't it? I keep calling him Chris Berg, but it could be another name, actually. But he's gone off. He was completely useless, to be honest, for a guy called Dinkçi, who I've never heard before. I guess, judging by the name, it sounds as though he's Turkish or of Turkish origin. They've also brought Jens Stage on as well for Ilya Gruev. But yeah, I think it's just about freshening it up, really, for Werder. They know they've lost this game. I think if they could get away with a 4-1, they'd see that as a decent result right now, to be honest with you. I think they don't want to end up shipping 5, 6, and 7. And to be honest, from what I've seen so far, they won't do that.
Yeah, some really good football by Stuttgart there down the left-hand side, as per usual. Sousa involved, got to the byline, but his pullback hit Christensen. But we've now got a corner. So can we get anything from this outswinging corner? No, it's pretty poor. Hertha can start their own counter attack. Well, they can't, because was that Egloff held back Lukbakio, and that results in him receiving a yellow card. A team foul, that one, because it could have been a dangerous moment with Hertha trying to get out at pace. So it still remains 1-1, but a yellow card there for the young Stuttgart man. Let's have a quick look at some other questions. A couple of Zweite Bundesliga related ones, so let's come to them. One in from Dave Pearson. Do you think we will see Hamburg back in the Bundesliga finally next season? Another really interesting one. The ultimate kind of German football lovers question. With Hamburg in their 5th season in the 2nd division, probably no one thought it would take them that long. They've never finished below 4th since being in the division, 2nd division, that is. And most recently came really close when they lost to Hertha in the playoffs last season. Mark, with it maybe in theory being a slightly weaker Zweite, it surely presents a great chance for Hamburg to finally do what they would love to and come back into the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I definitely think they will this season. Yeah, I think they did have a little bit of a blip again. They always seem to have a blip. I don't know why, but clearly there are mental issues there that have stopped them a number of times from getting back into the Bundesliga. Late poor runs in the season. But this season, I agree that I don't think it's the strongest fighter in terms of it. I think there's some good teams in there, but there's not many consistent teams in there. That's the problem. And we obviously saw Paderborn fly out of the blocks, but they've fallen away badly in recent weeks. They've actually dropped down to 5th, Paderborn. My initial tips were Hamburg and Hanover have hit form again recently. They're up to 5th.
Yeah.
So they could potentially be the biggest threat to Darmstadt and Hamburg for a top 2 place, I think. I think Heidenheim are one of those clubs, like they're always up there, but they never seem to get over the line. And I think they could be another nearly team this season. But yeah, I'll probably go for Hamburg to win the league this season. Yeah, but just as you think they're going to run away with it, they have a game like they lose at home to Magdeburg or something like that, and it's just it's very frustrating for them and their fans. But obviously, with 2 games to go until the halfway point, they're 4 points clear of Heidenheim and just 1 point behind Darmstadt. From here and on now, they don't have to do anything special. They just have to be consistent and don't lose any stupid games, really, and then they'll get enough points to get promoted, I think. But it's not guaranteed because they've been in better positions than this and blown it in the 5 years they've been in these fights now. And I just think, it's not guaranteed because there's a lot of pressure on them. But I do believe they'll get up this season. Yeah, and I think the Bundesliga will be better for it, in my opinion, too.
Yeah, well, I think they probably will do it. It'd probably be better for them if they do it early as possible, because the later it goes on in the season, that kind of mental block that they've had for the last few seasons, when they've tripped themselves up. So, yeah, I think if they can do it early, then they'll be fine. But if it starts to go to the last few match days, then, it'll really be, squeaky bum time, as they do say. That links into another question that came in from Ballum in regards to who do you see coming up from the Bundesliga next season, which Mark, you've already kind of covered. I think, Hamburg, Darmstadt look good with chances for Heidenheim, I think maybe. Hanover is a good shout. Maybe even Peters Kaiserslautern, who knows? Imagine that. They're doing pretty well, aren't they, themselves?
Good win tonight as well, yeah.
Yeah, really good win tonight. So, dark horses maybe. So, yeah, it'll be exciting to see Hamburg back in the Bundesliga. I think that would be really great. It'll kind of represent a really stellar Bundesliga lineup, depending on who goes down, of course. But yeah, that would be really exciting. I'd love to see someone like Darmstadt get promoted as well. I think that would be really exciting for the league.
But it won't be Nuremberg, that's for sure.
The bottom of the league is even tighter, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
really close down there. With did Bielefeld end up winning?
They won. They got a great win away. In fact, might even have been in Paderborn tonight, actually. Yeah, they did. They won 2-0 in Paderborn. I couldn't believe it when I saw that result because I watched the last home game live and they were absolutely dreadful against Fürth, of course.
Yeah, goal in Bochum. Borussia Mönchengladbach starts their comeback. Let's have a quick look. Goal for the
Player.
away side. Who have we got as a goal scorer, Mark?
Alisson Player has got the goal. Probably the form player for Gladbach at the moment has got the goal. It seems as though, as well, if you look at the XGs, they're slowly making their way up. It's about 1.6 against 0.98 at the moment. So at halftime, it looked a lot worse than that for Gladbach. So it does seem as though they're clawing their way back into the game, and they're going to have a great chance of possibly getting something out of this game now, Gladbach. They're another side that if they can find a way to win this, they'll be quite well placed in the league as well. But this is the kind of game they need to start winning because they don't win enough games away from home, really, Gladbach.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of a second half comeback from Gladbach, but equally goal attempts is still 3 each, although 2 of Gladbach's have been on target, and ball possession still pretty even. So Bochum will still be thinking, can we hang on? So that's our first goal of the second half. With particularly Bochum and Stuttgart games very much in the balance. So goals that are going to be going in are going to be basically really, really crucial for the Bundesliga table as we're watching it right now. Mark, unless you can see a massive Werder comeback like they did against Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, I think it'll have to be even better this time, won't it? But yeah, they did do that. They were 2-0 down with like 85 or even 87 minutes on the clock. It was one of those ridiculous Bundesliga matches, that, wasn't it? But yeah, I think clearly Bayern Munich are a different level to that Dortmund side. And yeah, the second half's been a non-event in truth, but I think you had enough excitement in the first half for 3 matches in truth. So I can't complain too much. But yeah, it's been a bit of I think both sides are just happy to play out the game because obviously Bayern Munich have still got one more game before the winter break, and that's against Schalke. I don't think Schalke will have them quaking in the boots though, but it's still a game they have to win to keep and Schalke is a big rivalry too between Schalke and Bayern. So it's they won't make it easy for them away from home, but I'd still expect them to win that game quite comfortably. I'd say there might be one more goal in this game for either side, but there won't be too many, I don't think, now. Yeah,
absolutely. But yes, thanks everyone that's commented so far, and that's been asking questions that we've had pre the show starting and during it. If we've missed any, we'll try and make sure that we do come back to them. But please do make sure that you smash a like on the show. It's the first time that we've tried anything like this kind of Gillette Soccer Saturday or midweek show, covering a couple of different games, and it's been great fun. So if you're enjoying it, please do let us know. Then it's something we'll try again in the future. Absolutely, be great fun to maybe do this with the last game of the season when all the games kick off at the same time. I'm sure that would be absolute carnage, but it'd be great fun to do. And make sure that you do press the red button and subscribe to the channel. We're doing all sorts of different bits and bobs, doing as much as we can before the World Cup break, particularly from the Bundesliga point of view. So loads to make sure that you can catch up with. We'll be doing our last fantasy football show on Thursday as well, of course, with Runa, and then one more review show to round up match day 15. Just as Bjorn Souza is standing over another free kick here for Stuttgart, a bit further out though. Good whip on it. Oh, and who was that? Mavropanos got ahead of Christensen, but meets the header too hard, and he goes quite comfortably over the bar. So yeah, half decent chance there for Mavropanos, but he just meets it a bit too flush, and it probably was a bit too high for him as well. And yeah, probably much like your game, Mark. There hasn't been a great amount of exciting moments in this second half, probably for very different reasons, I suspect, because I can feel the tension already between both teams. I'm sure all the fans feel it in the stadium and watching, because a goal either way is huge for both sides.
Yeah, I think it's funny with your game because I think a draw is a poor result for both teams. Both teams need a win there, especially with
Yeah,
Bochum winning as well. It's a disaster. A draw would be not really a disaster. It's obviously better than losing, but still, a point is not what the doctor ordered in this game for either side. Because some people would say, okay, Hertha Berlin are away from home, a draw would be a good point, but they've not won enough games in the season. That's the problem, and you need to start winning somehow. And the best place to start is against teams that are down there around you, isn't it? Really. So from what you've said, it sounds like it's been a pretty even game. Both sides have had a goal and then a clearance off the line, so it could easily be 2-2 this game. But it's it seems as though from what you've said, the second half has been a lot flatter, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And whether that's, the pressure telling, oh, good save by Muller. Chance for Hertha there. Nice 1-2 on the edge of the area. And an acrobatic save by the Stuttgart keeper. Just having another look at the replay. I mean, to be fair, Muller makes it look a bit more spectacular than it was. It was down his throat. Puts in the standard goalkeeper dive that you see, but corner here to Hertha. So does anything come from this? Just about punch clear, but still in the area. A couple of step overs, and he's got through a few tackles. Ball's then gone back to Hertha. Chance here, off the line again. Oh my God. And then the rebound is just about saved by Muller. That's 2 shots cleared off the line by Stuttgart in one game. Hertha must be absolutely cursing their luck, just as Thiago Thomas now is counter-attacking. But that just goes out for a throw-in. Oh, my word. Another one off the line.
Sounds like you're getting pretty lucky. It sounds like one of those games is going to be a last-minute Stuttgart winner. They do get a lot of them at home, don't they, actually, last-minute winners. I remember, obviously, the famous one against Köln on the last day of last season, which kept you up, basically. That was... But then you got one in your last game against Augsburg as well. I think that was a very late winner, wasn't it? But it sounds as though you played better that day, I think. That day you were completely dominant against Augsburg. But today it seems as though Hertha have had slightly the better of the game from what you mentioned. But
yeah, I think it's just because there's
nothing really going on here at all, to be honest. It's been like the complete opposite of the first half, which was one of the best and most eventful halves I've ever seen. This half has been not the least eventful, but like it's been not great, to be honest. But as I say, I can't complain after that first half because it was just absolute carnage, really. It could have been 7 or 8 goals quite easily in that half. But yeah, obviously, I think it's massive. The game over in Nord Rhine-Westphalia too, between the Ruhr Pots, as they say, between Bochum and Gladbach. This is massive. The result of that game, it's also huge for obviously Stuttgart and Hertha as well, because it's possible that either of those sides could finish in the winter break in the bottom 2 as well. Yeah, if Bochum can get another win on Saturday, I don't know who they play, actually, but it would put a lot of pressure on if Bochum can hang on there. Let me just check who exactly they play. So yeah, Bochum finished this half of the season away at Augsburg. So it's a game that Augsburg probably should win, but it's winnable for Bochum. You know what I mean? It's not the hardest away game you're going to have in the Bundesliga. So it's paramount that Stuttgart and Hertha push for that winner for me. Both sides have got to try and win this game.
Yeah, I think they both are. There's no signs of them settling. I just think it's tense out there. You can just tell that. But Stuttgart have had a lot of the ball. Hertha have just been dangerous from set pieces. Most of those chances have come from corners. So that that's something that Stuttgart need to try and avoid where possible. On the ball, creating chances wise, Stuttgart have used the flanks, used the fullbacks pretty well, particularly Sousa. Just as they come down the right-hand side now with Silas in the area, deflected, and we've got a corner here for Stuttgart. Armada doing well there. He's had not a bad game. It was Mavropanos who cleared the shot off the line. Some great anticipation to do that. And save his team, as he has done a lot since being at the club. He's been a great signing, now on a permanent deal. Let's see where this corner leads us. Sousa with the in-swinger. well cleared at the front post actually by Hertha. Now they can try and counter-attack. But yeah, it's all leading up to a pivotal moment in the last 20 minutes somewhere in Stuttgart, whether it's a last-minute worldie or a last-minute error. Kind of feel like it's inevitable. Just as Hertha come down the right, Florian Muller doesn't know what to do, whether to come or not, and it's recycled by Hertha. Kind of get the feeling that Hertha are going to be the team that score it with this momentum right now. As they come down, they win a corner. And we know that it's dangerous, or it has been dangerous so far during the game. Still 2-1 in Bochum with about 15 minutes to go in both matches, in all the matches that we've seen. We'll have to maybe come to a question, if we can do, that we haven't answered. I'm not sure if there's any that we've had. I think we covered Alan's second question. Alan Michaels asked, is there any chance of Union or Freiburg can push ahead of Bayern in the table? Fun whilst it lasted to see Union up there, but don't want Bayern running away with it. Makes the league dull. We've more or less covered that, Alan. I hope we've covered that for you. We can certainly see Freiburg and Union challenging for top 4 football, Mark, can't we? But in terms of a push a title race, it's going to be hard to see anyone pushing Bayern at the moment because of how poorly Leipzig and Dortmund are positioned. It's going to be really tricky for anyone to really keep pace with them.
I think it's not so much down to the competition. It's just that Bayern just don't stop winning, do they? And it's just hard to see them not winning a game of football at the moment. That's the bigger problem. I think Freiburg and Union have had great seasons. Even points tally-wise, they've been good enough to be top, really, ultimately. If you look, both sides have won 8 out of the 13 games. You can't. What more can you ask for from a side like Freiburg or Union at the end of the day? The win rate has been very, very high for both of them, but they just can't keep up with this Bayern Munich team. And it's like since I blame the international break. The international break has killed the Bundesliga title race this season because before the international break, Bayern couldn't win a game. 4 games they went without winning a match, and you just can't imagine it. But since then, I think the only game they've not won was that Dortmund match, which Dortmund scored with basically the last kick of the game to get a point in that, didn't they? But I think they've won 7 out of their 8 or 6 out of the 7 apart from that. And it's just too... Teams like Freiburg, they are going to drop a few points here and there. They don't drop many points, but as you say, it's the likes of Dortmund that you're really looking at to put those really long runs together. But they're just not good enough at the moment, Dortmund. It's as simple as that. And to be honest, Dortmund are currently 4th in the table, and in truth, they should be a few places lower than that, because I can think of at least 2 or 3 games that they've won this season that they shouldn't have won. Lady luck shine on them, and today it was a step too far with a on form and very talented Wolfsburg side just battered them, basically, didn't they? Really comfortable 2-0 win. They were well ahead on the XGs, on shots, on just about everything, really. And, Dortmund just on the top levels. I think Leipzig and Frankfurt are probably the 2 that could realistically push them, because they're both very, very good teams. Dortmund, as I say, I just don't really have that much hope for them. Am I being harsh on Dortmund here, Rory? I think we mentioned it a few times recently, but I should be surprised that Wolfsburg have turned them over tonight, but I'm really not. That's the problem. And
yeah, I think we both expected something, because Wolfsburg were starting to show elements of form and were sorting themselves out under Niko Kovac. And Edin Terzic has got his uses and other areas where he's not so strong, but it felt like one of those games where they'd struggle, and they've not been helped by injuries, and that's been well said, and I think I've said that quite a lot myself, actually, in defence of Dortmund. But there comes to a time where some of the players have got to step up, basically, for the club, and that's just not really happening right now. So they are where they are. Still plenty of time to make a good season of it, but right now they are struggling a little bit, and so we'll have to keep a close eye on that. Some interesting substitutions in Stuttgart. We've seen Wimmer make 2 changes, taking off Silas for Pfeiffer. I'm not overly convinced by that. I think Silas has presented a really big threat for Hertha, getting in behind them, using his pace. And he's been well marshalled, but with 20 minutes to go in a game that you really need to win, don't know sure if I necessarily agree with that. Hope I eat my words and Pfeiffer scores the winner, but we'll have to see. And Thiago Tomas has come off for Wagnerman, who, is a really capable right winger, right wing back. He's come back from injury just as Hertha, swinging a cross from a free kick, and that comes to nothing. But again, seems relatively negative, that Mark, just as it looks like I think Wataru Endo is completely knocked out here.
Whew.
Oh, no, he's just, wow, that was quite scary, that. Wataru Endo is clearly completely knocked out, wasn't moving. He's come to now as Florian Muller went to make sure that he wasn't basically swallowing his own tongue. That was quite dodgy, that, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it sounds bad. Yeah, definitely. It's I guess they'll have to take him off now for the kind of potential of concussion or something like that. I think
he's
so.
out. He's out of it when he gets hit in midair. You can see as he falls.
Yeah.
That's nasty. That'll be the end of his game, and probably the end of his Hinterrunde, because I can't imagine with the protocols that he's going to play again by the weekend, and that's a huge loss. For VfB Stuttgart.
Oh my God, yeah. The defending there was atrocious from Werder, but Gnabry has his hat-trick, actually. He has his hat-trick, but I mean, that should easily have been stopped. It was a good dribbling initially from Gnabry, but it's that man Young. Young scored the goal, but he's had a bit of a mare tonight, in truth, and he's just not made an easy clearance, really. He's just kind of messed it up, and it's been an easy finish for Gnabry. Yeah, it's just from Gnabry's point of view, it's a good goal. He keeps the ball well, but I mean, the Werder defending is just poor, and they haven't had a good night defensively tonight, Werder. I think, I mean, they're a good team, but they have to learn. I think tonight they'll take as a learning experience because they've not really played. I think attacking-wise, they've had some good moments. They've scored a goal. They could have had another goal or two, but defensively, it's not been good enough, ultimately. But obviously that is 5-1, and we do have the next goal. So obviously Gnabry with a hat-trick. He's been back on form recently, hasn't he? Just in time for the World Cup. He made a slow start to the season, but he's been very, very good in recent weeks. And I do believe that the best Bayern is with Gnabry in the team. So we'll have to see whether he can keep his place. It's funny to say because Mane, when Mane went off, Bayern have just been brilliant, basically. And I think Mane just doesn't seem to be suited in this team at all. And I think, to be honest, I think Mane might need a bit of time on the bench, in truth.
Oh, he has started games on the bench this season, but obviously only in kind of fits and bursts. So, yeah, maybe that's something that Nagelsmann will explore going through the season. A bit of a rocket for Mane, just as we're still dealing with the Endo head clash. Not too sure which Hertha player he clashed with.
Bayern away again here. Bayern away again. Every time Werder go forward, Bayern just win the ball back, and he's gone all the way. And he's smashed it in for 6-1. I can't believe it. Who is it that's got the goal there? It's Tell, actually. Matis Tell. Again, it's a great strike from him, but it looks as though Pavlenka gets a massive hand to that. Probably should save it, but it is 6-1. It's a great run from him. Again, from his perspective, it's a really good goal. He dribbles from the halfway line, smashes a rasping shot, but it looks as though Pavlenka should do better, but he doesn't save it. I'm just looking at the replay now. Yeah. I don't know. He does hit it very, very well, and he actually saves it onto the bar, and it goes just underneath it. It's not really an error. I don't think it's probably a bit harsh to say it's an error, but he does get a big hand to it. But it's hit very, very hard by Tell, and I think that's his 3rd goal of the season. I don't think he's even started a game yet, has he? So he looks a real prospect, Tell. But yeah, it is 6-1 with about 5 minutes to go.
Goal in Bochum! Goal, goal, goal. It's the equaliser for Borussia Mönchengladbach. 2-2. Some big late goals going in here across the Bundesliga. And that is a big one in regards to how things are playing out down the bottom half of the table, Mark. And it's Rami Bensebaini, fantasy football legend, who I think I've actually taken out on my team now, typically.
He was my captain, so I'll take that one.
Oh, yeah, very good. Set up by Jonas Hoffmann. Fires the ball into the back of the net to make it 2-2. And there is still, probably we've added on time, 10 minutes there in Bochum. And my, what a result that would be if Gladbach can come back and make it 3-2. Atakan Karatsor is going to be the sub for Wataru Endo. He's still not left the pitch. I think the incident occurred on the 78th minute. We're now into the 82nd, roughly. So they're taking great care. And now he is being stretchered off. So I don't know if it's just because they're taking care because it's the head, or if if it's a proper gash, on the back of his head. Either way around, that's probably the last we'll see of Wataru Endo in a Stuttgart shirt until after the World Cup. So we wish him a very speedy recovery. And Karatsor is now on, and the game has resumed. So a huge job in the middle for him to try and orchestrate the rest of this game for Stuttgart, just as they're coming forward here with Sousa and the first touches for Atakan and Karatsor. And we're back underway of what is going to be a very big final 10 minutes of play. Oh, actually, back to Bochum, Mark. VAR has interrupted. It's now 2-1 again.
No, that's just so typical, isn't it? So typical. As soon as I get a goal score on my fantasy football, I swear that happens every time, really. But that's absolutely massive, that is, especially on the obviously the bottom of the league. Wow. I mean, it must have been a really long VAR delay, that too, because it was like 3-4 minutes ago the goal was initially counted.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah. It's a real blow that for Gladbach potentially, and it seems as though Bochum have got away with one there, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, it's a tough one. Obviously, we aren't watching this game. We're just kind of following that one. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but it seemed like it was a very, very lengthy delay, and then so I would imagine it was something very, very tight. But yeah, an absolute sickener for my fantasy football team there. Bensebaini was I have him as the captain too. He was about to be on 18 points as well. That's an absolute sickener for me, really. But obviously for Bochum, it's a massive, that could be what keeps them up come May. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive
big mistake by Stuttgart. Oh my word. Terrible mistake by the Stuttgart defense, which, we're coming accustomed to at the moment. Is a Duque who had the chance to kind of to get a shot away inside the area, and wow, that was a huge chance for Hertha. Should be 2-1 to the away side. There, sorry to interrupt, Mark. That was a very harem-scarum moment. For the last 20 minutes or so, obviously barring the injury break, it has been more or less Hertha who have looked the most dangerous. Stuttgart have had a lot of the ball, but it looked a bit blunt, unfortunately. And after it was such a promising start with Guirassy scoring early on, they've not really used the momentum, and they did have their chances towards the end of the first half. But right now we're heading for a 1-1 draw, unless we get some late drama and late action. Any more questions to come in this evening? I think we've gone through all of the pre-asked ones. I will double check that, so we'll make sure that we get through that all. I think there's some pain being felt not only by yourself, Mark, by some of the comments in the live chat about the fantasy football for Bensebaini. Some very disappointed people losing out on some crucial fantasy football points. He'll have to go and bag another goal at some point if he's to recover your situation there. Just as Stuttgart are coming down the right hand side. At the moment, it's not leading to anything, and Hertha have done well to recover the ball after Anton made the foul. So yeah, at the moment it looks like you're done.
It's one of them. I often wonder whether this is fair, really, but yeah, they didn't play any added time at all today. What do you think about that? Because I think we touched on that the other day, Rory, that like in the Bundesliga they don't like added on time. But is it fair, really? I mean, say like I don't know, say Werder Bremen, I don't know, get into Europe by one goal potentially at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? Like Bayern could, if they added 4 or 5 minutes on, which probably is what it should have been added on, it could easily have been 7-1. Do you know what I mean? The way the game was going. What do you think? Is it fair they just don't play any added time, or do you think it's okay?
It's tricky, isn't it? Really, because German efficiency and all that sort of thing. They don't want to waste time where there isn't any. But at the same time, if it's fair and right that there's 3 or 4 minutes of added on time and Bremen can score a goal, like you say, it's entirely, Bremen are entirely, okay to say, why weren't we given the time to try and get, another goal? But at the same time, are they thinking that 6-1 down away in the Allianz in the 90th minute when they're absolutely on their arse?
I think
probably not.
Yeah. I think it's a cultural thing, as you say. It's a cultural thing. They just think, like, if you're already 6-1 up, why bother playing any added on time? It's just wasting time. We already know what the result's going to be. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why they do it. I think it's like a cultural thing. So it's like if there's more than 3 or 4 goals ahead, they just blow the full-time whistle on 90 minutes. But in some ways, I like it, but in other ways, I think, is it fair? I prefer that to adding like 1,000,000 minutes on like they do in the Premier League, though. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like in the Premier League, they had like 5-6 minutes on, and then on top of that, they had like another 1 or 2 on like added time on top of added time. And it feels like that you're just playing until the other team scores sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's like, are they ever going to finish this game or what?
Yeah, absolutely. I do get what you're going on about there. Just as Milo is getting forward for Stuttgart, but it's well defended in the end. You can obviously keep an eye on if there's a goal in Bochum, Mark. So just interrupt me if that's the case. No, I'll try and run us through the last few minutes here. As Sousa's trying to get the cross in, but I'm obviously a little bit behind on than what's on the screen. So I'll just kind of commentate on what's going on my screen, which is about a minute behind, I guess. But yeah, at the moment, the momentum is now kind of back with Stuttgart. They've got the ball in Hertha's half and are trying to push the Berlin side back and maybe just try and work an opportunity for Sousa to whip in across and find the likes of Pfeiffer or Guirassy, who they've got on the pitch as that front two. Oh my God. Mavropanos almost completely gifting Hertha a one-on-one chance there, but rescues the situation. Good bit of play there by Karat Sword, but equally good work by Hertha. It's all a bit messy, to be honest. Second half, unfortunately, has been like that. It's been tense. So that's a quality bit of football, though, from Hertha. Great ball in from behind. Mavropanos gets a good block in, and it remains 1-1 here. I can imagine the atmosphere in the Mercedes-Benz Arena is incredibly tense, because right now you could probably flip a coin for someone to just go down one end and get that goal and make it 2-1 either way around. But still heading towards a 1-1 draw right now, Mark. And I'm guessing all things are still the same in Bochum.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're into the second minute of added on time in Bochum. It should be finished any minute, really, I think. Yeah, I think there's probably 3 or 4 minutes. As we mentioned before, there's never that many minutes added on in the Bundesliga. It's just not the Bundesliga style at all, is it?
Well,
to add like 6.
We've got 7 minutes. Sorry, yeah, we've got
really?
7 minutes added on time because of the Endo injury, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see on screen we're into the 93rd minute of that, and it's still 1-1. So, yeah, really scary stuff. for both teams,
Yeah.
knowing how big a chance, one chance could do a world of good to both these teams' seasons. So yeah, it's a good chunk of time still. 4 minutes for someone to be a hero or someone to be a zero and make a mistake. So we shall watch with interest on our first ever kind of joint watch along that we've done tonight. Mark, you enjoyed yourself covering the Bayern game and keeping an eye on all the goals as well. It'd be great if there were all the midweek games were on one night. That would have been all sorts of fun.
Yeah, I can't complain about my game at all. I mean, obviously, I'll be honest, I have nothing against Bayern at all, but obviously I think most Bundesliga fans hope they will drop points eventually. I did have hope that Werder could have kept it relatively close, but I'll be honest, when I saw that Füllkrug didn't start today, my hope largely dropped down. And I think that was, they didn't play well, really. They didn't defend well enough, and with enough intensity to get a point off a team like Bayern Munich. But it was an entertaining watch. You can't complain. I mean, the game was just open all the way through the match, and both teams should have had at least one other goal, with obviously the missed penalty and then the open goal miss from Dux. So it should have been 7-2 in truth. But there were also other chances here, there, and everywhere as well. It was a classic Bundesliga game, really. But the problem is when Bayern play in that kind of game, that's not the way to beat Bayern Munich, unfortunately. If you're too open against them, you're just going to get battered. And that's what happened against tonight for Werder Bremen. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable in general. I mean, all the games have been tense. Obviously, the other two games are more important down at the bottom of the league, really, aren't they? Especially with Bochum and then Stuttgart and Hertha. But seems as though Bochum are going to hang on. I wouldn't imagine there's too much added time here. And we are into the 95th minute now, so we're really, really deep in there. Obviously, they have had the big stroke of luck as well, haven't they, Bochum, with that goal disallowed. That could be absolutely massive come the end of the season if they can hold out here. Because, I mean, if they'd have only drawn that game, it would have looked a poor result, really, wouldn't it, from 2-0 up at half-time. They need to hold on to this. But if they can, their manager will have told them they need to win the home games, and that's what they've been doing recently. And if they keep winning the home games, they will stay up as well, that's for sure, because, it's... they can just nick the occasional point on the road, it'll keep them ticking over. But I think they're looking in decent shape, Bochum, at the minute. And, obviously got one more game before the winter break, and that's away at Augsburg. Even if they can get a point there, they'll be relatively happy with the work done in the last 6 or 7 games, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And both games are going deep here. It's very... kind of tetchy now in terms of the quality that we're seeing on the field. Stuttgart is still trying to get the ball down the wings, but kind of running down blind alleys at times now. Hertha then try and get the ball on the break, but ultimately can't do anything with it. And what with both games are, well,
it's over in Bochum, so they've got the win. Absolutely massive win for the home side. That wow, and the pressure. Obviously, there's only going to be 1-2 minutes left in Stuttgart, but the pressure is massive now. Because to be honest, a draw isn't a good result for either side, given the fact that Bochum have got that win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so probably about a minute or two left tops. Added on time. Souza with the ball down the left-hand side here, but having to go backwards. No clear avenue really for Stuttgart to explore. As we really can't be far off this final whistle, which has been added on a lot of time because of the Wataru Endo head injury, which he sadly had to come off for. But right now, we are heading for a draw in Stuttgart with Hertha. As you said, Mark, not an ideal result really for either team, who just don't win enough games of football.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just the way it goes time after time, isn't it? And it sounds as though Hertha, from what you've told me, I mean, obviously I haven't watched the game, but it sounds as though Hertha should have got the win tonight, ultimately. They've had a lot of chances in that second half. And as you say, they just don't It's very hard because it's been a long-term problem this for Hertha. They've not won enough games for the last two and a half seasons ultimately, and they've got good players on the pitch, but I'm surprised that they still start the likes of Davy Selke. Do you know what I mean? I think everyone knows that I'm not really his biggest fan in the world, but it's they just don't win enough games of football, do they? Away side, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. I'm just being alerted to the screen. I think it's 2-1.
No way.
Oh my God. I think there's a goal in Stuttgart. I think
But
it's
has it been allowed? That's the thing.
Oh,
Take us through it, Rory.
Don't do it to me. I'm so far behind on my stream, though.
It's come through on the Bundesliga site as well, and it's Mavropanos who scored it. But I don't know. Obviously, has it been allowed?
Is it a corner of some sort? Then I'll try and catch up on my stream. We can only go off what we're seeing, the information on the screen right now.
Yes, if
this could be absolutely ginormous for the home side if it's counted, and if
I told you a last-minute Stuttgart winner is on the cards.
Oh my God! You wouldn't believe how hard my heart is now beating as a result of that goal. Mavropanos.
That finished sign. That's what you want.
Yeah, we don't want to see any. Oh, I think. Are we in the clear? Let's have a quick look then.
Finished. It says it's finished 2-1. So we're still waiting for the commentary.
Oh yeah, I'll run us through it then. Let me just sit back and enjoy. I'm sorry, my bias has now completely come into play. Whoa, what a header! Souza corner. Mavropanos leaps like a salmon, and he gets up.
Must be massive celebrations.
Oh, everyone's gone absolutely nuts. Giving you the big one to the home fans in the corner. Mavropanos, Karatsor, all the subs are absolutely loving life. Obviously, absolutely no question in regards to VAR. Outswinging corner by Souza. His delivery has been good tonight. And I said Hertha are dangerous from set pieces, but Stuttgart have the last laugh. Outswinging corner, does really well, perfect in off the post.
We were just talking as well about the added time on top of the added time. That was a Premier League style goal, that one, yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's a massive goal for Stuttgart. That and it's classic Hertha as well. It's absolutely classic Hertha Berlin. They just don't win games of football, do they? And it's incredible, but that's massive for Stuttgart. That is absolutely massive. Yeah, and I'm happy that they managed to get the win there. But it sounds as though they rode the luck a little bit, but that's what Stuttgart have that Hertha don't have. They have a bit more bottle, I think. You know what I mean? And we've seen it at times this season and also last season. And Hertha just don't have that kind of late goal in them, I don't think, do they?
No, I mean, the XG suggested that, that Hertha were above Stuttgart in clear-cut chances, because obviously the two chances cleared off the line. I'm not sure entirely if the Ito one was going in, but, regardless, he needs to make the clearance because there are Hertha players coming in. But yeah, that is ginormous for Stuttgart, and a really exciting way to end our first kind of watch along Saturday. What a night of football it's been. Bundesliga produces the goods time in, time out. So thanks to everyone for watching. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage. Hope you've enjoyed mine and Mark's match commentary and excitement, because it's been really, really good fun kind of covering two different games each. And if everyone's enjoyed this kind of gig, then we'll definitely be doing this sort of thing again, because we've had a blast, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been really good fun. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and obviously massive wins. I think probably Bochum and Stuttgart will be the happiest sides in the Bundesliga tonight. Obviously, Wolfsburg will probably not have finished celebrating their win over Dortmund. Bayern, obviously, with a big win, but they're kind of used to pulling off those big wins, let's be honest. But it was probably the most entertaining game of the night. But I mean, obviously, the Bochum and Stuttgart games, massive wins for the home sides there. Bochum now 10 points from 4 games at home, isn't it? Incredible, really. Their home form could potentially, and the same with Stuttgart. Very, very similar. That's now 3 home games in a row won, and the second in the last minute as well. So it proves that this is what keeps Stuttgart in the league the last couple of years, isn't it? The fact that they do have that late goal, they have a lot of belief and desire, and no more from the man who scored the winner, Mavropanos, as well. What a massive character he is on the pitch. Anyway, I think anything more to add, Rory, or should we clear?
No, I don't think so. I apologise if we've missed any questions tonight in the live chat, because there's so much going on with goals and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you for everyone that's got involved tonight, that's asked questions prior to the show. Really appreciate it, and we've had great fun. So over to you, Mark, to close up tonight's show.
Yeah, so if you enjoyed what you saw today, check out our Twitter feed at OverTheBarFB and at OverTheBarExtra. Also our main site, which is otbfootball.net. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw today. Tell your friends about us, and obviously click the notification as well, so you can get. We've been doing a lot of shows recently. Obviously, we do unfortunately have the break as well, which will actually take place after the next round of fixtures this weekend. So we only have a couple of shows, Bundesliga related, for you before the World Cup. But also look out for the Football League show as well, obviously. And I'm hoping to still get to a few live matches as well in the lower leagues of German football. So look out for those vlogs. But thanks a lot for joining us again, and see you on Thursday for the next show. Bye-bye, guys.
Cheers all.